Hey everybody, here is a very good question that I got from someone who has watched quite a few of my videos, and she's from the Muslim faith, and she asks me, what does the Bruderhof think about other religions? Do you have respect and knowledge about other faiths? So, very good question, and I actually want to dedicate an entire video to this question today. And the short answer is yes, but what does that really mean for us who base our entire lives around a central point? We believe in Jesus, and our faith is grounded in the Bible. So here are just a couple thoughts on that. When I was little, my mom used to read the Anne of Green Gables books to us, to me and my siblings. And anyone who knows those books or has watched the movie will know Anne has this thing about kindred spirits. A kindred spirit is someone who understands you well enough to know what you're thinking. So sometimes that person is a stranger or someone totally unexpected. And there's this great line from Anne that goes something like, kindred spirits are not so scarce as I used to think. It's splendid to find out there are so many of them in the world. Something like that. I think she uses the word splendid. Great word. Anyway, a kindred spirit is not someone you agree with all the time, but it's someone who you instinctively love and connect with because you have a basic understanding in common. And I think that it's possible to find a kindred spirit in another religion. And I've certainly experienced it myself when I meet someone of another faith, and I feel right away that I share with them a sense of living my life to try to make the world a better place. So that doesn't mean I compromise my faith as a Christian, but simply that it's possible to share similar longings or desires for humanity, like peace and forgiveness, equality, justice. I mean, you could list tons more. Another point that is important to remember is that most people of faith are trying in their own way to do good. Thinking the worst of people or being critical of other religions is not really the way of the gospel. I just actually heard a little story from a friend of mine who lived at our community in Australia for many years. And it was late one Saturday afternoon, and she was in the local emergency room with her young son. He needed surgery, and there were no doctors on call who could do that particular operation for them. So I guess she must have braced herself for a painful night traveling to a hospital hours away. This is Australia, right? And our community there is kind of far out in the outback, as they call it. Anyway, the resident on duty at that night or whatever called his best friend from his family who was eating his family dinner. And then as the new doctor, who was Vietnamese, got to work, my friend noticed a jade stone Buddha swinging over her son's sleeping body every time he leaned over to adjust the IV drip. Anyway, she thanked God for this man's faith that prompted him to leave his meal with his family to help her son. Anyway, when I heard that story, I thought it was like a beautiful story of just shared humanity, like somebody coming to help someone else in need, regardless of religion. And I'm sure stories like that happen many times every day all over the world. Anyway, this is not to minimize the real points of difference between religions. And for sure, any oppression or violence that is committed in the name of religion, clearly there are very fanatical religious groups that are causing a lot of damage in the world. So I can't agree with or condone that. As a Christian, the fact that Jesus lived and died on this earth changes everything for me. Even within Christianity, my beliefs don't completely line up with what is preached in other Christian denominations, and some things that are preached in the name of Christ are actively harmful, things that are clearly causing people to suffer and die. Just because something is religious doesn't mean it's admirable. Going back to another book that my mom used to read to me and my siblings when I was little, the Narnia books by C.S. Lewis, and I probably referred to C.S. Lewis a couple times in my videos because I enjoy some of his books. Anyway, so there's a story in the last book where a pagan called Emeth is welcomed into heaven, and even though he has been a servant of the false god Tash. And I just wanted to read a quote from that because I found it to be poignant. So it basically says, Emeth says, "Yet I have been seeking Tash all my days." "Beloved," said the glorious one, "unless thy desire had been for me, thou wouldst not have sought so long and so truly, for all find what they truly seek." So that's the idea of the virtuous pagan, that God in his mercy can and will reach anyone who truly seeks him. And beyond that, I don't feel called to worry about it, because I can't really afford to. At the end of the day, every person on this earth belongs to God, and I believe that there is a hidden Christ in each person, and the challenge to each of us is to find it. So, hope you enjoyed these thoughts, and I hope they were encouragement to you. And if you're on your path seeking for the truth, I wish you a lot of courage and all the best.